All right, Virgo, let's get into your reading. All right, the message that I have for you today is this, and it needs to land deep. This person has carried love for you since the very beginning, and that love never once faded. From the first interaction, something registered inside of them that they could not rationalize or dismiss. You walked into their awareness like a frequency shift, and every cell in their body responded. The problem was never the feeling. The problem was that the feeling overwhelmed their sense of safety. Loving you felt too perfect and too consuming for a person who expected disappointment at every turn. Let us go ahead and dive into this because the cards are laying this story out with precision. First card drawing for you is the Empress, and she holds the core of this entire sacred message. Abundance in its purest form is what the Empress represents, and that abundance is what you brought them. You offered warmth without conditions, nurturing without scorekeeping, and a presence that made everything feel genuinely stable. That level of generosity terrified them because they had no framework for receiving love without hidden cost. You were never too much. The cards confirm you were simply more than anyone had ever offered before. Their nervous system could not process that care, so it registered safety as a potential trap instead. Every beautiful gesture you gave freely triggered an alarm, whispering that this cannot possibly be genuine at all. That alarm was not about you. It was rooted in every wound that taught love carries a price. Empress energy also tells me your presence softened rooms and dissolved defenses they spent years building up. Watching those walls crumble around you was both the most beautiful and most horrifying experience of their life. Next card arriving is the Three of Pentacles, and this one reveals how the connection registered internally. Three of Pentacles represents collaboration and structure, and this person saw genuine long-term potential from day one. They recognized immediately that you matched them in ways no previous connection had come remotely close to doing. Compatibility was obvious and undeniable, frankly intimidating for a person who never believed they deserved something this aligned. What the Three of Pentacles tells me is that they mentally built futures, mapping you into every stage. That mental construction happened involuntarily because your presence activated a part of their brain reserved for permanent bonds. Recognizing a genuine match triggered panic because the stakes shifted from casual interest to real possible heartbreak. Low investment relationships felt controllable, but what you represented demanded full surrender, and that prospect paralyzed them. Then we have the Page of Cups, and this card strips the surface to reveal their raw vulnerability. Page of Cups tells me this person experienced emotional awakening the moment you entered their orbit fully. Feelings they assumed were dormant resurfaced with a force that caught them completely off guard and unprepared. Innocent energy radiates from this card, and that innocence is exactly what your love reactivated deep within them. Cynicism they wore as protection dissolved the second you showed them genuine affection without performance or conditions. Being emotionally exposed at that level felt like standing in an open field during a storm, unshielded. Every card in this opening confirms the message. You were never the problem and never once disposable. Fear dressed itself as distance. Hesitation dressed itself as doubt, and none of those masks held actual truth. What the Page of Cups also confirms is that the child within them recognized you as home instantly. That recognition bypassed logic entirely, landing in a place so tender that protecting it became their only priority. Retreating was never rejection. It was a desperate attempt to safeguard something they could not survive losing. Guarding this love became instinct, because the depth of it made every previous connection feel shallow by comparison. You represented the safest love they ever encountered, and it was that very safety that overwhelmed their system. This opening makes one thing undeniable. They loved you from the start, and that truth never changed. Now, come in close because the cards are turning their full attention toward your side of this connection. What lives inside of you right now deserves its own space and its own recognition separate from them. First card on your side is the Hermit, and he speaks directly to the solitude you have carried. You withdrew into yourself at some point, not out of weakness, but out of a need to understand. The Hermit confirms that isolation was your method of processing emotions that were too complex for surface conversation. Silence became your sanctuary, a place where you could sit with confusion without anyone misinterpreting your stillness. Reflection over reaction was your choice, and that discipline reveals a maturity most people never develop. Turning inward was not avoidance. It was a deliberate decision to protect your clarity during overwhelming circumstances. The Hermit tells me you questioned everything quietly, dissecting moments and searching for answers that nobody volunteered. Late nights carried the heaviest weight, when your mind replayed interactions, looking for signals you might have missed. You analyzed tone and timing obsessively, wondering whether the warmth you received was authentic or carefully performed. That hyper-awareness exhausted you, but it also sharpened your ability to read situations with extraordinary precision. Nothing passes by you unnoticed anymore, and that heightened perception is a gift born from navigating emotional ambiguity. His energy also reveals that your alone time built a resilience that now operates as your permanent foundation. Next card pulled for your side is the Four of Wands, and this one illuminates your deeper knowing. Four of Wands represents stability and celebration, and its presence here confirms something important about your inner state. Despite the confusion surrounding this connection, a part of you always sensed the foundation beneath was solid. You felt the authenticity before logic could confirm it, and that gut recognition never fully abandoned you. Even during the most uncertain stretches, something anchored inside your chest insisted that this was not imaginary. The Hermit tells me you built emotional stability without requiring external validation to sustain it. Your peace did not depend on answers arriving first. You cultivated that peace independently through sheer willpower. Celebrations may have felt premature, but internally, you already recognized that what existed between you was structurally sound. That quiet confidence separates you from doubt, even when doubt paraded loudly through every corner of your mind. Then we have the Ace of Pentacles, and this card speaks to the value you recognize within yourself. Ace of Pentacles represents new, tangible worth, and what it confirms is that you rediscovered your own significance. Somewhere along this journey, you stopped abandoning yourself and started investing energy back into your own growth deliberately. The version of you standing here today is not the same version that entered this connection months ago. Transformation happened in the margins, between the overthinking and the sleepless nights, where self-worth was quietly rebuilt. You stopped begging for crumbs from tables that were never set generously enough to match your actual value. What this card tells me is that you planted seeds of self-respect, now bearing fruit everywhere. Your standards elevated without announcement, and the boundaries you established became non-negotiable pillars, holding everything together. Emotional literacy deepened throughout this process, giving you vocabulary for feelings that previously sat unnamed inside your ribcage. You learned to honor your own experience first, without minimizing what you felt to accommodate anyone else. Every card on your side confirms one undeniable reality. You emerged from this chapter stronger than you entered. Your emotional intelligence grew through fire, and what remains after that burning is diamond-level, unbreakable strength. Nobody handed you this version of yourself. You forged it in the silence when answers refused to arrive. The stillness you carry is earned. The clarity is yours, and the readiness you feel is completely legitimate. Okay, let us go into it because the cards shift entirely onto their side and what lives within. Their internal landscape has been anything but peaceful, and the depth of what they carry might stagger you. First card on their side is the Tower, and this reveals the seismic disruption you caused inside. The tower does not arrive gently. It arrives like a demolition crew, tearing down every false belief. Your authenticity obliterated the version of reality where love was transactional and always came with conditions attached. Their entire belief system about relationships collapsed the moment selfless care proved it actually exists in this world. That collapse was not gradual. It happened violently and without warning the second your presence became undeniable. What the tower tells me is they experienced an identity crisis because their old self stopped making sense. Old coping mechanisms stopped functioning overnight, and the armor protecting them for years shattered into useless fragments. Rebuilding from that wreckage has been their private battle, fought in silence, where nobody could witness it. They did not choose to fall apart. Your love dismantled them in ways they never consented to. That involuntary vulnerability terrified them most, because control had always been their primary mechanism for surviving. Losing grip on emotional composure felt equivalent to losing grip on their entire sense of self permanently. Every defense they ever trusted proved worthless the moment genuine love walked through their door without warning. Next card drawn is the Nine of Swords, and this exposes the mental torment behind closed doors. Anxiety at its rawest is what this card represents, and this person has been drowning in it daily. Sleepless nights are not occasional for them. They are the standard rhythm their mind operates on without mercy. Intrusive thoughts circle on repeat, asking whether they ruined the best thing that ever crossed their path. Nine of Swords tells me guilt consumes their waking hours, layered beneath a mask of composure and calm. Punishment is self-inflicted for every hesitation, every pulled back moment, and every word swallowed instead of spoken. Mental spirals begin the instant their head touches the pillow, replaying scenarios where courage replaced cowardice. Regret has become their most consistent companion, whispering that the window for honesty narrows with each passing day. Their mind fabricates worst-case outcomes constantly, where you move on and they remain haunted by inaction. That particular nightmare wakes them at strange hours, drenched in the kind of dread logic cannot soothe. What Nine of Swords confirms is that their suffering is genuine psychological weight crushing them from deep within. Then we have the Two of Cups, and this card reveals their deepest motive beneath all the chaos. Two of Cups represents mutual soul recognition, and this person identified you as their emotional counterpart immediately. Their motive was never possession or control. It was a desperate craving for the reciprocity you naturally offered. Finding an equal felt mythological to them, something discussed in theory but never expected to materialize. They categorized you differently than anyone before, placing you in a tier that nobody else occupies or touches. That sacred categorization paralyzed them because the cost of mishandling something this rare felt catastrophic beyond repair. Their inner world operates on a single terrifying premise, that they found perfection and fear poisoned it. Every private moment reflecting on this connection reinforces the agonizing truth that distance was never the intention. Withdrawal was camouflage for devotion, and silence was never absence, but rather overwhelmed adoration, frozen completely stiff. Beneath the surface of every withdrawn gesture exists a person screaming internally for the courage to reach you. Their emotional architecture was never built to handle this magnitude, and the foundation cracked under your weight. Reconstructing themselves while still consumed by devotion has been the loneliest project they have ever undertaken in silence. The cards paint their interior with unmistakable clarity. This person is consumed by love they cannot govern. So, let us get into it, because this section is all about what is physically shifting now. Internal chapters are closed for now, and the reading transitions into tangible action and visible movement. First card here is the Knight of Wands, and he charges forward with undeniable, fierce urgency. The Knight of Wands represents bold, rapid pursuit, and his arrival confirms hesitation is being discarded. Dormant decisions from previous months are being activated with a speed that catches even them off guard. This person is mobilizing in real time, putting plans together that require leaving comfortable hiding spaces behind. Outreach is imminent, according to this card, and the method will carry a directness not witnessed before. Passive behavior is being replaced by initiative, and that shift marks a turning point in the timeline. Phones are being picked up instead of set down, and drafted messages are finally sent without deletion. The contact energy has changed dramatically, moving from avoidance to active pursuit within a compressed time window. Travel may factor into what unfolds next, because this knight does not operate through screens when serious. Face-to-face interaction is part of the trajectory, and logistics for that encounter are already underway. Geographic barriers that served as excuses are being dismantled by a willingness to close the literal distance. Knight of Wands confirms the pace will feel sudden, because months of suppression are releasing all at once. Mutual contacts may bridge the gap between you, creating pathways that did not previously exist in this dynamic. Social situations are aligning in ways that manufacture proximity, placing both of you in overlapping spaces organically. Invitations through shared circles will generate encounters that feel coincidental, but are anything but random in timing. Next card drawn is the Wheel of Fortune, and this confirms that the entire cycle is rotating. Wheel of Fortune represents destined shifts, and the rotation happening now favors reconnection on every measurable level. Circumstances blocking progress are dissolving rapidly, replaced by openings that neither of you had to force into place. External timing is cooperating for the first time, aligning schedules and availability in ways that feel orchestrated. What this card tells me is that the universe is actively rearranging the board in your favor. Chance encounters carry more weight during this cycle, because the wheel positions both of you for inevitable crossing. Doors that slammed shut months ago are swinging open, and the pathway between you clears of obstacles. The wheel confirms this is not wishful thinking. It is a measurable gravitational shift in the physical world. Then we have the Six of Pentacles, and this card introduces the exchange about to take place. Six of Pentacles represents giving and receiving, and what it confirms is that balance is being actively restored. Generous gestures will arrive from their direction. Tangible demonstrations replacing the silence with visible invested effort. These are not small tokens. They are deliberate offerings designed to communicate what words failed to deliver. Time and attention will redirect toward you in quantities that signal a complete reprioritization of their schedule. Resources are being allocated with you positioned as the primary recipient, and that redistribution begins imminently. Previous imbalance is being corrected deliberately, and what flows toward you next will match exactly what is owed. Actions replace silence at every level now, and the cards confirm the stagnant chapter has officially ended. Momentum builds with mechanical precision, and every card in this section validates that movement is already irreversible. Arrangements are being made quietly, and the infrastructure for a meaningful reconnection is being assembled piece by piece. Nothing about the upcoming movement feels accidental. Every step has calculation and genuine intent powering it from underneath. Their calendar is shifting to create openings, and obligations that previously took priority are being rescheduled around you. Physical reality catches up to what was always true, and the distance between intention and execution shrinks hourly. Now, let us go deeper into this, because what the cards guard in this section is intensely personal. This portion belongs to the confessions living beneath the surface, truths this person has never voiced to anyone. First card exposing their hidden world is Judgment, and it uncovers the reckoning happening silently inside their core. Judgment tells me this person conducts a private trial nightly, where they stand as both defendant and jury. The verdict is always guilty, because they measure every withdrawn moment against what you actually deserved from them. Their unspoken confession is that they know exactly what they did, and ignorance was never part of it. Awareness haunts them significantly more than absence, because pretending they did not recognize your worth would be lying. They cataloged every instance where your kindness met their coldness, and that inventory tortures them without pause. Judgment confirms they replay specific moments obsessively, freeze-framing the exact seconds where courage could have transformed everything. One particular conversation sits permanently branded in their memory, where the right words hovered on their tongue. That dissolved sentence is the confession they carry heaviest, because it contained the entirety of what they feel. They rehearse delivering it constantly, imagining your expression and bracing for a reaction they cannot predict or control. In those rehearsals, the relief is overwhelming, but waking up to reality reminds them the words remain unspoken. Judgment also reveals they secretly bargain with time, promising themselves that the confession will surface before it expires. Next card is the Queen of Swords, and she cuts directly into the confession they protect most fiercely. Queen of Swords represents intellectual clarity, and this person understands their situation with devastating precision beneath the chaos. They are not confused about what they want. They are terrified of the permanence that follows admitting it. Their hidden confession is precisely this: They have already chosen you, and that choice was finalized long before. Choosing without declaring feels considerably safer because an unspoken commitment cannot be publicly rejected or mocked. The Queen of Swords tells me they analyze every risk associated with confession, mapping failure before it exists. Intellectualizing love has been their shield, converting raw vulnerability into calculated assessments that keep danger at distance. Underneath that analytical exterior, a desperate plea lives permanently on the tip of their tongue, begging for release. They want to tell you that nobody else registers, that comparisons ceased the moment your existence entered theirs. Every subsequent encounter with another person reinforces the agonizing realization that substitutes do not exist for you. That realization is the confession swallowed hardest, because admitting irreplaceability means admitting total emotional dependence. What this card confirms is that they view vulnerability as the ultimate gamble, where loss outweighs rational reward. Then we have the Four of Cups, and this card reveals the desire they bury deepest of all. Four of Cups represents emotional withdrawal, and in this position, it exposes what they fantasize about during solitude. Their deepest desire is staggeringly simple. They want to stop performing strength and collapse into you without judgment. Exhaustion from maintaining composure is the secret guarded most violently, because admitting fatigue admits armor was necessary. They crave permission to be fragile around you, to dissolve the constructed persona and exist as purely themselves. What Four of Cups tells me is they rejected every offering from others because nothing compares to you. Declining connection became habitual, not from arrogance, but from the heartbreaking awareness that only your version satisfies. Silence was never chosen willingly. It was defaulted to out of a terror that honesty would shatter everything. Their confession inventory grows heavier with each passing week, and the pressure of carrying it alone is unbearable. The hidden truth beneath every hidden truth is that they are exhausted from pretending you are not everything. Okay, let us bring this reading home, because the final section pulls everything into perfect alignment. The near future is where the cards direct attention now, and what they forecast carries warm certainty. First card closing this reading is the Sun, and this is one of the most affirming draws possible. The Sun represents joy returning after prolonged darkness, and its arrival confirms a new chapter is dawning. Clarity will flood this connection in the approaching weeks, dissolving the fog that kept both of you guessing. Honest communication replaces the coded exchanges, and conversations finally carry the weight they were always meant to. Vulnerability becomes the new language between you, replacing the guarded phrasing that kept real meaning at arm's length. Warmth re-enters the dynamic visibly, according to this card, and coldness has no room to survive this shift. Laughter will replace tension, lightness will replace overthinking, and the natural ease between you resurfaces without effort. A reunion of energy is forming, where both of you meet in a space free from pretense. What was hidden steps into full light now, and secrecy loses its grip on this bond entirely. Next, we have Temperance, and this card seals the near future with balance and divine orchestrated timing. Temperance represents patience rewarded, and what built slowly behind the scenes finally materializes in tangible form. The universe has been meticulously calibrating the exact right moment, and that moment approaches without further delay. Temperance tells me the reconnection will not feel rushed. It will feel like water finding its natural level. Healing accompanies each step forward, and wounds manufactured by distance begin closing the moment honesty is exchanged. My advice as we close this reading is to meet their return with the authenticity that started it. Guard your boundaries without constructing new walls, because protection and receptivity coexist when love is genuinely offered. Trust the pace that unfolds naturally, even if patience feels unbearable when the finish line appears within reach. Allow space for their imperfection, because the courage to return after fear is a form of devotion. Remember, their withdrawal was born from terror, not from indifference or a lack of genuine feeling toward you. The version of love heading your direction has been refined through struggle and carries more weight than words. Resist over-explaining your side of things, because your energy has already communicated everything words would struggle to. Let us come back to the message now that opened this reading and anchored every card pulled. The message was this: you felt too good to be true, and that overwhelmed them from the start. Fear drove the distance, not apathy, and the cards confirmed that truth across all 6 sections today. What scared them was the perfection of your presence, because nothing in their history prepared them for it. The Empress showed abundance incarnate, and 3 of Pentacles revealed they saw permanent partnership from day one. Page of Cups exposed the emotional awakening you triggered, while the Hermit honored your chosen solitude. 4 of Wands confirmed inner knowing was accurate, and Ace of Pentacles celebrated the worth you reclaimed. The Tower shattered false beliefs about love, and 9 of Swords exposed mental torment they endured nightly. 2 of Cups proved mutual recognition existed, while Knight of Wands ignited the bold pursuit now underway. Wheel of Fortune rotated destiny toward you, and 6 of Pentacles restored the balance that was owed. Judgment revealed the private trial conducted nightly, while Queen of Swords confirmed they already chose you completely. 4 of Cups exposed exhaustion from pretending, and the Sun brought joy flooding back into what comes next. Temperance sealed this reading with divine timing, confirming patience carries this connection across the finish line. This reading held you with intention from first card to last, and I hope you felt that fully. Thank you for being here today, for trusting this space, and for allowing me to read for you. Take care of yourself always. Hold this message close, and I will see you in the next one. The near future is where the cards direct attention now, and what they forecast carries warm certainty. First card closing this reading is the Sun, and this is one of the most affirming draws possible. The Sun represents joy returning after prolonged darkness, and its arrival confirms a new chapter is dawning. Clarity will flood this connection in the approaching weeks, dissolving the fog that kept both of you guessing. Honest communication replaces the coded exchanges, and conversations finally carry the weight they were always meant to. Vulnerability becomes the new language between you, replacing the guarded phrasing that kept real meaning at arm's length. Warmth re-enters the dynamic visibly, according to this card, and coldness has no room to survive this shift. Laughter will replace tension, lightness will replace overthinking, and the natural ease between you resurfaces without effort.